My Lords, I thank the noble Lord the Minister for his answer, but I'm afraid I have to challenge the validity of his data on what he refers to as the black
We've said
hole.
that we're going to do things differently. We're going to tell the truth, even when they are hard truths.
What if the very government that promised to protect your hard-earned money is now the one draining it with unprecedented tax hikes? What if their excuse, a so-called financial black hole, is nothing more than political cover for broken promises? Tonight, we break down the fiery parliamentary debate that exposes the truth. The Labour government had sworn not to raise taxes before coming to power. Yet, here we are, a country burdened with higher taxes and fewer benefits, while billions are funneled elsewhere. So, who is telling the truth, and more importantly, who is paying the price? Buckle up, because this investigation will leave you questioning everything. Do you believe that Labour's justification for these financial decisions holds water? Or are we witnessing another case of political deception? Comment below and let your voice be heard. And if you stand against unfair taxation, hit that like button. Let's send a message loud and clear. Let's start with the core issue. Labour claims they inherited a £22 billion financial black hole from the previous Conservative government. But evidence suggests that this number might be exaggerated or worse, entirely fabricated. During a heated parliamentary session, a Conservative MP directly challenged the Labour government on this very claim. He cited Paul Johnson, director of the Institute for Fiscal Studies, who suggested that Rachel Reeves may be over-egging the figure. Even more damning, Richard Hughes, chair of the Office for Budget Responsibility, OBR, stated outright that nothing in our review was a legitimisation of that £22 billion figure.
My Lords, I thank the noble Lord the Minister for his answer, but I'm afraid I have to challenge the validity of his data on what he refers to as the black hole. Please let me quote Paul Johnson, the director of the Institute for Fiscal Studies, and I quote, "Rachel Reeves may be over-egging the £22 billion black hole, but most crucially, my Lords, please let me quote Richard Hughes, the chair of the OBR itself, and I quote, nothing in our review was a legitimisation of that £22 billion figure." So I have a simple question, please, for the noble Lord the Minister. When the OBR says nothing in their review was a legitimisation of the number that has now been repeated 59 times from His Majesty's government benches, is the chair of the OBR wrong?
Yeah. Well, I am rather astonished that the noble lord has gone on this particular line of inquiry, but I am absolutely delighted that he has, because, you know, as he knows, it's one of my favourite topics, and I hope we can make it 60 times from this dispatch box that I talk about the £22 billion of unfunded spending that we inherited from the previous government. The noble lord will know that the OBR's review was into the meeting that they had with the Treasury on the 8th of February, when, under the legislation passed by the previous government, the government was obliged to disclose all unfunded pressure against the reserve. The OBR's review has established that at that point, the government concealed from the OBR £9.5 billion. Now, before we dismiss £9.5 billion, that is equal to the entire capital education budget, the entire capital health budget. So that is not a drop in the ocean. That is £9.5 billion. The OBR then made 10 recommendations to stop this from ever happening again, and we have accepted all of those in full. Now, of course, that was just in February. The previous government then had until July. Now, what makes anyone think that because they thought they'd got away with it in February, somehow they stopped up until July? We know Treasury figures show that come the spring budget. Well, it was quite a long question. He asked me specifically to break it down, so I'm answering the question. By the spring budget, that number had reached £16.3 billion. By July, it had reached £22 billion.
So, if the very institutions responsible for fiscal oversight are casting doubt on this claim. Why does Labour continue to repeat it? Labour's response: a defiant dismissal. The minister stood by the figure, even celebrating the opportunity to repeat it yet again, bringing the total count to 60 times in official government statements. But here's the problem. The OBR's own analysis revealed that, as of February, the supposed black hole only accounted for £9.5 billion. By spring, Treasury figures showed a jump to £16.3 billion, and by July, £22 billion. Convenient, isn't it? Where is the transparency? Why does this number keep evolving? More importantly, who benefits from this narrative? Ordinary Britons. While the government cries financial emergency, what do we see? Tax hikes on working-class families, slashes to vital benefits, and skyrocketing costs of living. Yet, simultaneously, the Labour government allocates billions to foreign aid and support for illegal migrants. If the money is there for these initiatives, why isn't it there for our NHS, our schools, or our struggling pensioners? This isn't just a policy failure, it's a betrayal. If the government is serious about fiscal responsibility, we need immediate transparency. 1. Independent audit of government spending. A. The £22 billion claim must be verified by an independent body. B. We need full disclosure of where taxpayer money is actually going. 2. Reprioritization of funds. A. Redirecting excessive foreign aid towards domestic crises. B. Immediate relief measures for struggling families. Point 3. Tax reform for fairer burdens. A. Ensuring tax hikes are justified and necessary, not political maneuvers. B. Greater accountability for government mismanagement. Think about your family, your paycheck, your future. If the government can manipulate figures this easily, what else are they hiding? It's time for us, the people, to demand better. The government must be held accountable, and we need your voice to make that happen. Like this video if you agree. Drop a comment below. Do you believe Labour is using the financial black hole as an excuse for tax hikes? And most importantly, share this video. Let's expose the truth and fight for a fairer, more transparent government. Stay informed, stay engaged, and never stop demanding the truth.
Mr. Speaker, he is the Prime Minister now. The people out there want to know what he is going to do about the situation. He's not listening. He's too busy defending the international human rights law framework. The Prime Minister literally wrote a book on the European Convention on Human Rights. This is a situation where we need to put our national interests before the ECHR.